We took Wednesday off and lifted this morning, watched some of the tape this morning, and then turned our attention right to Memphis. You look back at the tape, I mean, obviously had four guys almost in double-figure rebounds. 57 total rebounds was a good number. There's a lot of areas we saw we need to clean up. Our 10 or 15-minute spurt in the second half was we played faster with better spacing. Offensively, our half-court offense is still not anywhere close to where we need it to be, but there were some positive things there, and obviously getting ready for a hard-playing, talented Memphis team that it's college basketball. You got beat by a really good, hot Iowa State team, and as we all know, anybody can get beat on the road in an SEC school. That's just kind of where it is, and I'm sure his guys will be really ready to play. I know our guys will be on Saturday morning.
Questions?
You and Penny have said on several occasions about trying to make this a regular thing in the schedule for both y'all. How important to you is having this kind of series pick back up with Memphis?
Yeah, I just think it's a game that people want to watch, and in the South and in November and early December, I think that's important, and while football is still kind of, on everybody's mind. And so, we played 2 years ago to a sellout crowd in the FedEx Forum. It'll be sold out on Saturday. And so those are the games that your players want to play in, and it's a good rivalry game that's only an hour and 15 minutes apart. Even next year, we're going to the Orlando ESPN Classic. Memphis is involved in it. But we're going to try to get maybe on each side of the brackets, but we'll still go to Memphis next year. I just think it's a game that needs to be played.
What did you kind of felt like your team has learned the lessons from some of the second half issues in Charleston in those couple of games? I guess it was it Matt or Austin? I guess Austin was saying you kind of felt like you guys had addressed that and improved on that the other night.
We have, really the home stand, which we had some ups and downs, won both games. But really the second half, I think we outscored them 42 to maybe 21 or 22, so maybe a little over 20 points. So we played better in the second half. It's been a huge emphasis, like even in practice. Take our 2 or 3 minute break after the first 50 minutes or an hour and really talk about some competitive things that we're going to do right from the start. So that's been an improvement, and we got to continue to build on that.
Talked about selling out the pavilion because of COVID last year. Obviously, a lot of your players have never experienced that. Just how important is it for them to be able to see that? How important is it to be able to keep doing that throughout the year?
Yeah, it's great for us, and I know sometimes where we live, football is on people's mind, and so it's nice now, and it still is. Don't get me wrong, but it's great for basketball to have a forefront, and there's no better venue in the country than the pavilion, and the student body is rocking the way it can go, and so I think it's going to be in those kind of games. There'll be some Memphis fans, there'll be a lot of Ole Miss fans, and I think that's what rivalry games are all about. So yeah, it's going to be sure fun because a couple of our guys, well, more than a couple, have never seen it like that because of the COVID.
Jarkel said after the game the other day that he's trying not to think of this as just another game. Do you like that attitude? Do you kind of want them to have the one game at a time with this one? Or how do you handle it?
I'm one of these guys that I'm a big rivalry game guy. I think you try to play your best in every game. Do some games have more significance than others? They sure do, based on location and region, and I don't mind that at all. That's kind of how I've grown up, So we still prepare the same exact way, no different at all. But I do think it'll have good meaning, and for the guys that probably really don't understand it, when they tip it up and they see the environment, then I'm sure it will then.
Talented is this team? And there's guys that people talk about being lottery picks and that kind of thing. When you look at them on film, obviously it's a lot of guys with a ton of potential, but today, right now, how talented is this Memphis team?
It's a real talented team. I mean, it's got really good returning players, and it's tough for every coach, and they've got a really good blend of veteran guys that won a championship last year. Then you bring in two guys, and Amani Bates is 17 years old, and he's projected. But you see it, too, sometimes in our world that these young guys can maybe go and average, say, take the two guys at Tennessee last year that were top 15, 16 picks. One of them averaged 11 or 12. One of them averaged 11 or 12. They won 10 games in the SEC, playing for a really, really good coach. So sometimes these guys can maybe not go off the chart in college, but their potential 4, 5, 6 years down the road in the NBA is enormous. And but Penny's a good coach. They'll figure it out. I think they've played some really good pockets of basketball. It's just college hoops. I mean, they played a red hot Iowa State team that's undefeated. And like I said, you go on the road in any Power 5 school with a good atmosphere like Georgia had last night, and that can happen. It's just early in the year, and we're all still trying to figure out our teams.
Questions from Zoom. We'll start with Michael. You can go ahead.
Hey, Kermit, how are you?
Hey, Michael.
I asked Austin this too, but we had Yo in here yesterday, and she kind of, I don't want to say implored, but she was really kind of wanted to let fans know that they needed to kind of be there and watch the team, and this kind of seemed like a big opportunity for you guys in a packed house. Are you guys kind of looking at it that way as a way to kind of get fans excited, let them know what this team is?
I think everybody has to take advantage of certain situations. I mean, our crowds have been great before COVID, and I think like all coaches and teams, we have to do our part. We have to put a really good product on the floor that's fun to watch. But yeah, it's always important to captivate your fan base and the students when you've got them there in a national game. And so, I think it'll be a really great game, and I think fans will want to come back and watch it after they're there on Saturday.
Clayton, you can go ahead.
Hey, Kermit, how are you?
Hey, Clayton.
Just wanted to ask you about the Memphis offense. Obviously, Penny said before the Georgia game that they were changing it up, going back to what he had success with last year. You guys didn't necessarily see that system last time you guys played. What was the difference that you noticed with them, with the offensive system they were playing against Iowa State versus what you saw against Georgia?
Yeah, I think that, like we all do, we're all we're doing the same thing, trying to figure out your offensive schemes, who you can trust with the ball, the freedom of offense that you give certain guys. I saw more kind of, back screen, ball screen action that they ran last night. I mean, they've got 80 points, 79. They scored 80. So offense was good enough, for them. Just listen to Penny. I think, he's like I've been on several occasions, wanting their team to guard better. But I think it's a really good offensive team. They got good offensive concepts, whether it was the team we saw in the NIT or what they did last night. And, he's putting his guys in good spots to score. And so, the spacing was still fine and probably had a little more control of who was going to shoot balls, kind of based on probably youth on their team. And, but that's like I said, it's something we're all trying to figure out.
Courtney.
Hi, Kermit. Was there anything from watching the Georgia and Iowa State game that you saw both of them do similarly that you felt like helped, sort of secure those wins against Memphis that maybe you're trying to implement?
When you play Memphis, ball security is important. Being good against the press and being able to try to score against the press, not just picking it up and be satisfied that you've gotten it across half court. We've been good with ball security. We're going to really need that to be available on Saturday. I saw a Memphis team, that plays and competes really, really hard, has great lengths, blocks 9 or 10 shots a game. But it's just, in scouting, there's some different things that we hope to be able to do from a scouting standpoint like we would any other team that we scout.
Given just the fact that there are talks that if they lost this game, they could potentially fall out of the top 25. How big is it that you guys are hosting this game, and also given the fact that you're going up against a team that's maybe feeling a little bit more pressure?
I go back to Coach Saban's rant about teams on 2-game losing streaks, and lost 2 games. I think you got teams that are backed up. I know teams that I've coached, but when he said that, it hit home with me because I've been right there on both ends of it. I think you're going to find a team that they're going to come out and play harder than they've ever played. A lot of stuff to prove. Our team has 2 losses. We have won a couple games, but a lot of things to prove. Fall on the top 25 the first week of December, I don't think that's that big a deal if they do or they don't. I think both teams are just trying to play well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
TJ.
Hey, Kermit. You talked earlier about your all's offensive progressions. Is this something that you've seen from game 1 to game 2 to now getting better, or is this more like figuring out what people can do or more like fine-tuning some details of your offense?
Yeah, we need, like right now, our points per possession in transition and fast break is really high, almost 1.6. Our offensive efficiency in the half court is not so good. So we've got to get a better balance there. And it's something we've always been able to do is cut hard and move in half-court offense. So we're just trying to find a balance. And, there's some things that we've gotten better at. There's a lot of things we got to continue to work on. Our spacing hadn't been great. We don't cut as hard as we normally cut. So all those things, against a really athletic team like Memphis, we're going to have to do a lot better on Saturday.
Do you have any update for us on Deshaun?
Yeah, I'm glad you. Yeah, he went to the doctor Tuesday morning, had it re-X-rayed. That was 3 weeks. It's progressing well. He's back. He's running now. He's still in a splint with his hand. He'll go back to the doctor next week, which will be 4 weeks, and then from there, hopefully, we'll have some news about maybe some activity that he can start. But just right now, I would say it's going to be closer to 5 weeks, just letting the bone in the top of that hand heal. But he's back to running. He's been doing that for about a week and a half, and he's been great spirits and participate in everything that he possibly can.